The Indiana Fever are planning to ship Caitlin Clark to the Los Angeles Sparks. I expect UCLA coach Corey Close to be the head coach of the Los Angeles Sparks. Corey Close, after that championship game that she won with the UCLA Bruins, she's been very adamant. She's been very upfront. Yeah, all this transfer portal stuff.
She is the most famous person in women's basketball and the most watched player in WNBA history. One cultural phenomenon elevates an entire league, music, and there are serious people with important connections who are whispering that Indiana is ready to let her go at this very moment. It's not a clickbait headline. That isn't a rumor spread by someone with a laptop and too much free time. That story has multiple levels, one of which is the cramped locker room. A bench scenario went viral, and everyone in the sports world stopped scrolling. There was a covert gathering in Los Angeles, and an NBA insider made a startling post. SO before you swipe over it. Take a moment to understand this. We are talking about more than just one person relocating to another city. We are talking about the future of a whole league. The question of who controls the biggest star in women's basketball and where she ends up in music is arguably the most important plot point the WNBA has ever developed. If you're new to this channel, click the subscribe button immediately because it offers stories similar to this one. The diplomatic non-answers lie beneath the official talking points, music, and well-crafted news releases. Now, let's get going. It started with a short, uncut, completely musical, unimpressive segment of sideline film that told the entire story in less than 30 seconds. Caitlin Clark, the star of the Indiana Fever, the player who made it impossible to buy WNBA tickets and the focus of a league marketing campaign, was seated on the bench. Her body language was obvious, her eyes were ahead, and her jaw was tightened. That specific calm that only occurs when someone is making a great effort to remain silent. Following a remark, head coach Stephanie White gestured for Raven Johnson to replace Clark. In response, Clark shook his head slowly and purposefully. That was all. That was the moment. 13 seconds, perhaps. No loud voices, no major altercation, just a shake of the head. But millions of people saw that shake of the head. It traveled more quickly than almost anything this team has created on the court this season because everyone who saw the video was reading it in the same way. There's an issue. In the sense that competing sports teams occasionally fight, it's not wrong. It's inaccurate in that it suggests a more serious break that a post-game hug can't fully repair. The fever was quickly and efficiently controlled. Stephanie White told the reporters that nothing was observed. As she walked up to the platform, Clark herself said that it was two competitive people who both wanted to win. The party line was clear and consistent, and the music was played with practice calm. The following is the issue with public denials in the age of social media. When the inquiry is received, it is already 3 cycles ahead of the rejection. Moreover, the question that everyone was now asking was not whether Clark and Whitehead had fought. The investigation focused on how deep the conflict was and whether it had already affected not just 2 individuals, but the entire organizational culture of the Indiana Fever. The painstakingly constructed nothing to see here myth started to shatter almost immediately, and the cracks started within the building. One of the roster's more direct personalities, Sophie Cunningham, casually disclosed something that most people overlooked but shouldn't have during a podcast interview.
Steph and Cece are 2 very competitive people who just want to win, and sometimes you bump heads, but it was all out of like good intent of wanting the same thing. And like at the end of the day, like we were not playing good. I'm not condoning her actions. Like I think there's room to grow in how you respond to things, but she would say the same thing, and her and Steph are fine. And that's like their relationship. And, you know, later that night or the next morning, they hugged it out and they talked about it. Like when you are in high competitive situations, pretty much 4 days out of the week, like stuff is going to happen. But like I said, our stuff is just under a microscope, and everything you do, everything you say is going to be a highlight reel for somebody. And I think media loves to create
separation where none exists. She said that the team had held what she described as a lengthy discussion following a string of losses. She handled it delicately. She claims that Stephanie White and Caitlin Clark are fiercely competitive people who occasionally disagree because they share similar objectives. She said that everything was okay, that they had made amends, and that they had given each other hugs, but go back and carefully read that again. She claims that the relationship is not strong. The dressing room isn't cohesive, but they're fine, she said, adding that the way things are handled might be improved. She added that not every disagreement is what the media portrays it to be, and everything gets scrutinized. She also confirmed the lengthy encounter, so everything is probably genuine. The friction was unintentionally confirmed by her, and she confirmed that the official account and the real story are not exactly the same, which isn't new.
But I just think everyone expects us to leave off of where we were last year. And yes, we have some of the same players as last year, but we also have so many new players that are playing huge minutes for us. And I think it just takes a second to, get rhythm and chemistry and trust each other. I think this is very normal team things, but we have to do it sooner than later. It's everyone's a little frustrated with how we're playing because we all know we're better than it. But I think sometimes you need this type of stuff in order to get to the root of the problem of whatnot.
Successful teams don't hold long emergency meetings after 2 losses. Teams that are truly united don't need to publicly declare their solidarity. The act of carefully safeguarding the relationship suggests that it was required. The rumor machine then entered a completely different phase. Put a circle around June 3rd, Michael Thompson. Michael Thompson, a longtime color commentator for the Los Angeles Lakers radio show and the father of 4-time NBA champion Klay Thompson, tweeted something on what was once known as Twitter that instantly, absolutely, completely froze all basketball-related social media. This wasn't an anonymous account or a resentful former athlete who became a podcaster. Citing a reliable source, he wrote that Caitlin Clark is no longer wanted by the Indiana Fever. He recommended that the Los Angeles Sparks pursue her. An hour later, he doubled down, tweeted again, confessed that he was hearing the same thing, and publicly defended it with his name linked on a platform that millions of basketball fans were watching in real time. Since Michael Thompson doesn't participate in this type of behavior, the response was swift and massive. He's not building his brand through scandal. He has a solid media career, is well known in the Los Angeles basketball community, and has no incentive to fabricate a story that could humiliate him professionally if it turns out to be false. Thompson, Michael,
comes out and says, I'm hearing from a reliable source, the Fever don't want Caitlin no more. Sparks, go get her now. And unless he comes out and says he's trolling, I'm taking this as face value. I'm taking this as serious. I'm not taking this as clickbait at all. I do believe he has reliable sources. I do believe he has sources within the WNBA. I do believe he has sources within the Los Angeles Sparks. And I do believe it's been floated by him the same way that things have been floated by Dan Dockage. I believe it's been floated by Michael Thompson.
When someone with his standing and connections says they are getting information from a reliable source, the sports community does not uniformly shrug. It pays attention. The Indiana Fever organization retaliated through back channels, saying that the trade rumors were false and that Clark is untouchable. But despite the league office's complete silence and the Fever's deliberately vague and skillfully constructed denial, the subject persisted. In fact, it accelerated it. This is the point at which the narrative shifts from drama to something far more calculated and frightening. If you're an Indiana fan, on May 13th, the team traveled to Los Angeles to play the Sparks. Caitlin Clark was in a very good mental condition before that game. She addressed reporters with a sense of humor that had been lacking for the majority of the season. She smiled. She was comfortable. 87-78, the Fever won out. In addition, Clark scored 24 points and dished out 9 assists in one of her greatest performances in weeks. The box score did not account for what is said to have happened off the court. Several unreliable accounts claim that Clark had a private conversation with members of the Sparks organization on that trip to Los Angeles. This kind of calm, casual dialogue happens when a player starts thinking about what life might be like somewhere else, whether on purpose or not. It was neither an official gathering nor a league-approved sit-down. That information alone may have triggered another week of speculation. But subsequently, Michael Thompson of Los Angeles filed his claim. All of a sudden, the puzzle pieces started to come together to create a clear picture. Kate Martin, Clark's closest friend and former teammate at Iowa College, recently inked a deal with the Sparks. Cameron Brink, a young Versace center who can stretch the field and guard the rim, is already on the roster. Suddenly, Clark's familiar faces, familiar objects, and surroundings were no longer in Indiana. They were in Southern California. Whether that is a coincidence or a strategy is a topic of ongoing discussion in the basketball community. Although no one in the mainstream sports media will directly address this issue, everyone in the sport is well aware of it. The WNBA is dealing with a market problem. Indianapolis is a true sports city. There are a lot of fans of the Fever. The audiences this season have been unparalleled, largely because of Clark's presence. But Indianapolis is not Los Angeles. It's not New York. Additionally, in a league that is desperately trying to increase its national footprint, TV partnerships, foreign reach, and overall cultural influence, having your most attractive player in a mid-sized Midwestern area causes structural friction. In Los Angeles, on the other hand, music is everything. It is the second largest city in the country. It is a global brand. It is the world's entertainment hub, where athletes turn into celebrities and celebrities turn into more than simply athletes. Specifically, the Sparks just become a much more interesting squad. The ownership group that bought the Los Angeles Lakers, the same company connected to the Los Angeles Dodgers, now has financial ties to the Sparks because of their participation in a broader LA sports ecosystem. The outcome is Crypto.com Arena. Dodgers, that is, music money. This suggests that one of the most powerful sports infrastructure networks in the world may be partnered with a WNBA franchise. If you put Caitlin Clark in that situation, you are not building a basketball team. You are building a global media company. Commissioner Adam Silver is one of the most vocal advocates in sports history for WNBA player salary and league expansion. The WNBA commissioner, Kathy Angelberg, has been aggressively looking for additional markets, agreements, and chances to increase the league's visibility. They wouldn't need to set up a backdoor deal, force a trade, or break any laws. All they would need to do is establish a setting in which the market corrects itself and the largest platform finally attracts the most marketable player because of its financial gravity. Leagues have always functioned in this manner. It is not always required to have a mandate. Sometimes momentum is all you need. Put aside the debate for a moment and consider what the Indiana Fever season has to offer.